Hello, my witchy friend. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you're a returning subscriber. My name is Sophie. I'm the Midwest Magician, and today I wanted to talk about where to get started with your magical practice. Just a quick disclaimer, this is not where my practice started. If that's something you're interested in hearing about, let me know. I'd be happy to tell you guys more about my magical experience. And another thing too about this video, I don't necessarily think it needs to be only for beginners. With magic, there are so many different opportunities for learning, and the not so great side of that is not knowing where to get started or feeling stuck within your practice. So this is just kind of an idea with different avenues that you could pursue and different ways to get to know your magical self a little bit better. So these are things that I would recommend to my younger self when I was first getting started. And these are also things that I plan on implementing within my practice right here and right now. So if that sounds interesting to you, stick around, give the video a like if you do end up liking it, and subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you here for all of my videos. Let's get started. If you see me looking down, it's because I have notes. I jotted some things down. But the best place to start, in my opinion, is to reflect. What are you passionate about? What are you called to do? What do you think is important in life? What are your values? Are you living... Do you hear this? Sorry, I left off with what are your values? Are you living in line with your values? What do you want to gain from magic? What do you want to gain from witchcraft? Do you want to be a fully solo practitioner and keep everything close? Do you want to join a coven? Do you want a hybrid of both? Figure out what path you're most called to. You don't have to be married to it, but if you feel the inkling to explore, I would highly recommend and encourage you to do so. I started off with Wicca. I'm not a Wiccan anymore, but it got my feet on a path, and I got to learn a lot, and I also learned it wasn't for me, and that's totally okay. But reflection, I think, is such an important step that I feel like personally for me, I miss a lot of the time. I don't do a lot of reflection, and that's something that I'm gonna get better at. I swear, y'all, I have been interrupted like 7 times in a row trying to get to number 2 here. That would be connect to your space. And I say space because not everybody has the same type of space that they can connect to. It could be land, it could be a house, an apartment, a bedroom, your workspace. Wherever you are, I think it's very important to connect to your space. And I think a great example of this is, weirdly enough, on this decluttering show with, I think Marie Kondo is her name. She does this very cool thing when she goes into somebody's house. She acknowledges the energy of the house. She sits in the house on her knees and she kind of does a little thing. I'm so good at describing this, but she does a little personal ritual to connect herself to the space that she's going to be in. And some things that you might notice when you connect to space is just the energy around you, getting familiar with that energy. Is it dense? Is it thick? Is it heavy? Is it light, airy, and positive? Does it need to change? Does it need to be broken up? It's just kind of paying attention to how the space around you is feeling, the energy around you is feeling. I think that's a great place to get started on any kind of spiritual journey. Just getting familiar with different energies that you are introducing yourself into. This next one ties in perfectly with connecting to the space, and every single person with a video like this talks about it, but it's cleansing your space, cleansing yourself. It's a great way to start, and it gets you a clean slate. So if you are having trouble kind of feeling out the energies, if you cleanse your space, then you can start to pay attention to what energies are introduced, how different things, scenarios, situations make the energy within the space feel. So if you watched my home cleansing ritual, you would see that after I did the smoke cleanse and everything like that, I did a spray to bring in energies. If you are still learning how energies feel, how different things feel, skip that part and just see over the course of a week or so what different energies you can feel within your space. And if you are in a place where you can't do a smoke cleanse, there are countless videos, and if you want me to make one too, I will, but there are countless ways to cleanse your space without smoke. But just really getting the space totally cleansed and clear, and even yourself. Give yourself a cleansing shower, give yourself a cleansing bath, use Florida water. You know, there's a ton of ways that you can cleanse the area and yourself, but just giving yourself a blank slate to start to introduce yourself to different energies and how they feel is going to be really beneficial. Okay, this next one I am 100% going to do a whole separate video on, but I think it's an awesome place to get started. Start working with your ancestors. It doesn't have to be this big, huge thing, and it doesn't have to be ancestors that you don't know. My personal experience with working with my ancestors, I have two stories, and I will try to keep them quick, but it's encouraging for anyone that wants to get started with ancestor work. So my grandfather passed away. I was very close to him. He was a cat guy. So I had seen this cat around my condo for so long. It would come by and it just was the cutest little cat, and I think it was an outside cat. And it was gone all of a sudden. For months and months and months, I had not seen it. October rolls around and I decided I just kind of want to start talking to my grandpa. So I talked to him in the car. And one day on the way home from work, I asked him for a sign. And I said, if you can hear me, if you're around, if you can see my life, send that cat. The cat that was always there, I called it the Peepaw cat because I really thought it was him. And would you believe it? That same evening, that same exact evening, the Peepaw cat showed up right on my back porch. Hi, Hazel. So that was confirmation for me. Another story, months before my grandmother passed away, I told her, I said, if I see a cardinal after you pass away, because she was doing a Swedish death clean, and my family's not weird about death. We talk about it, it's fine. So I told her, I said, if I see a cardinal, because she was always watching the birds, if I see a cardinal, I'll know it's you. And she said, I wouldn't send you a cardinal. I'm a robin girl. Of course, I got it wrong. But she passed away on, I think it's Labor Day or Memorial Day. I don't know which one it is. The one that's at the end of the summer. She passed away on that Monday. And I went outside and I sat on my front stoop, and would you believe it? A baby robin was right in front of me. I took a picture. I told my dad. I told everybody. It was the craziest thing. But start working with your ancestors, even if it's just your grandparents. It'll change your life. It's amazing to know that, they're out and they're watching over you, and just start really small. Just start talking to them, ask them for a sign if you want to. Maybe they'll send one, maybe you'll miss it, maybe you'll catch it, you don't know, but you won't know until you try. And I think this is a great place to get started. And, you can leave them a small offering, give them water, light a candle for them, give them a piece of chocolate. My grandpa, his favorite was chocolate from Aldi. If I want to connect with him, I leave him a little square of chocolate from Aldi. It's perfect. So get started with the ancestors. It might seem scary because they're spirits. It's not scary. They're your family. They love you. They want to hear from you. So that's probably my favorite of all of these tips. Sorry, I had to fix my eyelash. It's fallen off. My next one might be controversial. That's okay. I'm going to recommend to start doing candle magic. And I'm not going to say to do a giant, crazy spell. I have that prosperity working in the background here. You don't have to sit there and dress a huge candle and make up all these crazy incantations, and you don't have to do all that just to get started. Get a tea light candle and light it and put an intention in there and let it burn until you feel like you're ready to release that. Just start small, start practicing with your tea light candles, and once you start to feel more comfortable, once you see your manifestations coming true, start to go a little bit bigger. But it doesn't have to be super crazy and elaborate for your first couple times doing a candle spell. You can start small, start simple. Draw a little sigil, look it up on Pinterest and put it underneath your candle while you let it burn. For this, focus on the intention and see what happens. Okay, my next one is really quick and simple. Read, go on YouTube, and look up as many resources as you can. If there's a topic that you might be interested in, I can guarantee you there's a book, I can guarantee you there's a YouTube video, and I can guarantee you that there is some kind of blog post somewhere out in the ether. So definitely start finding resources, start finding people that you can connect to, be it author, YouTuber, blogger, whatever it is. I know a lot of people like the Pagan and Witches Amino. I've never used it, but I've heard really cool things about it. So start using resources. And even if it's people's like personal gnosis, it's a place to get started off of, and you can find your own personal gnosis from there. Okay, this next one, super simple as well. Pick a plant or pick an animal and learn everything you can about it. This is how I got started with all of the different herbs that I like to work with. I would just pick one. I would say, okay, I'm having really bad cramps. And would you know it, there's something called cramp bark out there. And I learned as much as I could about cramp bark. I learned as much as I could about chamomile. The animals I'm not as good about. I used to be really good about learning about animals, but I'm more into the plants these days. But pick something you're interested in and learn about it. Learn as much as you can. Start to use that within your practice. So that way you can have relationships. Like, I love to do the herbs. Chaotic Witch Aunt just posted a video about relationship with the foxes. And so if that's something you're interested in, if you want to find your familiar animal spirit, put it out there in the universe. And once you feel that connection, learn about it. You might get it wrong. You might have picked the wrong one and guessed incorrectly. You might have guessed right, but you won't know until you start to try and you start working with those spirits and those energies. Okay, this next one, again, it would not be a beginner video if I didn't mention it. Do protection spells. Get a protection charm. You can use the candle magic to charge a protection charm. I have a protection charm that I use every single day in my pocket. I'm not going to show it to you because I don't want to reveal my secrets, but I have a lot of different protections around the house, be it, hang on, I'm gonna put the microphone down. I have this candle with the bowl filled with tiger's eye and smoky quartz. This is a protection thing. You can get a bowl and fill it with salt and put it somewhere in the room to collect negative energies. You can, this is really hard to put back with one hand. You can, in college, I was really sensitive to energy back then. And what I would do was fill a vase with water and just put it up on a shelf. And every time I felt like the energy was getting too heavy, I would flush the water down the toilet and refresh it. And it helped so much to flush that crappy energy because water holds intention, water holds energy. So it was just, for me at least, kind of a way to pull that out of the air. And as soon as I started feeling it myself, I would get rid of it. But there's so many ways to do protections. You can do personal protections, house protections. I have protections on my car even, it's just start to look into protection magic. And with that one, it's hard to backfire. That's why it's recommended for beginners so often. It's probably not going to harm you to do a protection spell. My next one is also probably a little bit common, but it is to journal. I am horrible at journaling. I tried to have a book of shadows more than once, and man, I would be really into it. I would hit the ground running and make so many pretty pages and start prepping to have like a table of contents and this and that and the other, and then I would stop. I just wouldn't do it. And shoot, I cannot remember his channel. I think it's The Witch of Enchantment. He was just on a wine and witchcraft with, I can't remember who. I'm the worst, you guys. They were just talking about how he doesn't feel the need to keep a grimoire because there's so much information out there. And I can totally agree with that. However, for me, I like to have my notes of like, if I'm making a magical spray, I want to know the ingredients that I used for it so I can look back on it. But I agree with him that it's like, you don't have to sit there and regurgitate information that you can find in a million different books you can find on Pinterest. Just start journaling the things that you're doing so that you have a reference to look back on and see what's working for you and what's not working for you. That's my advice. I don't think you need a whole crazy magical grimoire. If you want one, more power to you. They're beautiful, and I wish I had that kind of patience to sit there and make something that gorgeous, but you don't need it. You don't. If you want it, get it and make it, but you do not need it. Just write down to keep reference points for yourself, because it's important to look back and see, again with the reflection, it's important to look back and see where you came from and what's working for you and what's not. This next one, college me would roll my eyes so hard at myself right now, but it is to pray. I would be cringing that I'm wearing a rosary right now too. You don't have to pray to a specific deity. You can say just to the universe. You don't have to even address it to anybody. Just speak what you're feeling. Talk about what you're grateful for out loud. Good things will come from it. And as far as praying for the things that we want to invite into our lives or the things that we want to see happen in the world, pray as if it's already happening. I'm so grateful for the peace in the world, you know? Say it as if it's happening, because like attracts like. I'm grateful for the food that is in my refrigerator. Like attracts like. Just be praying. Just constantly keep that as a part of your practice and just see where it takes you. And it, like I said, if you want to connect it to a deity, you can. If you want to address it to the universe, you can. But the important thing is that you're saying the things that you're grateful for out loud, and you're talking about the change that you want to see within your life, that you want to see within the world. It is a great place to start with your practice. And I know it sounds so religious, but it doesn't have to be dogmatic. You don't have to make it anything other than what you want it to be. The last one I have for you is simple, but it is probably the witchiest out of all the things on the list. And that is to go outside. Go be in nature. If it's urban, if it's suburban, if it's country, if it's the mountains, go outside. Connect with the elements. Get some fresh air in your lungs, get some negative ions, get some sunshine in your eyes. It's good for you. It will help you significantly connect yourself to nature, ground yourself with nature, and see what happens for you. I really hope that these tips helped. I know that, again, like I said, I'm working on a lot of them, even within my own practice. I want to make sure that my life is magical as often as it can be, and implementing little tiny things within my day, even if it's lighting just a tea light candle or saying a prayer in the car or talking to my grandma and grandpa who have passed. It's a great way to add magic into your life and to make your practice more of a practice. It's somewhere to get started. There's not really a wrong way to start. I think that just picking something and being consistent with it is going to be key. Don't be afraid to get started. I know a lot of people are so worried that they're gonna do or say the wrong thing. And I've done and said the wrong thing a million times, and I'm still here and I'm still practicing. Actually, a funny story, when I was Wiccan, my friend at the time and I were doing a ritual, and we were gonna call in the element of water. And he handed me a seashell that was supposed to be full of water, and I was calling the element, and I went to go touch it, and it was dry as a bone. And we sat and we laughed for so long. This is a practice that lets you make mistakes and lets you be silly. I think a lot of us get scared because of past experiences with religion where you have to sit quietly in a church. You can't laugh, you can laugh, you can be yourself within witchcraft, and that's gonna be okay. So don't be afraid. Make sure to experiment. We don't know if something's gonna work unless we try it. So don't be afraid. It's an experiment, you'll be fine. And it is okay to change your mind. It's okay to change your interests. It's okay to change your intentions. You know, I thought when I got started with witchcraft that I was gonna be an astrology girly, and I am not. I can tell you my big three. I can tell you my husband's sun sign, and if it's a sign that's not directly in my life, I probably don't know a lot about it. So it's okay to not know everything. It's okay to change your mind and your interests. I hope you guys liked this video. I really enjoyed making it for you, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.